Chapter 1: The Illusion of Reality, Mastering the Internal Map. Have you ever wondered why two people can look at the exact same problem, a failing business, a broken relationship, or a high-stakes meeting, and one sees a dead end, while the other sees a golden opportunity? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's programming. Most people believe they are reacting to the world. They aren't. They are reacting to a map of the world. And as we say in NLP, the map is not the territory. Think of it this way. A map of London is not London itself. It is a simplified representation designed to help you navigate. Similarly, your brain creates a map of reality filtered through your senses, beliefs, and past experiences. You don't react to the world as it is, but to the world as you perceive it to be. If your map is limited, your life is limited. If you update your map, you update your reality. Today we are going to upgrade your operating system. Think of Steve Jobs. His colleagues called it the reality distortion field. He could convince anyone that the impossible was just a Tuesday afternoon task. How? Jobs didn't just speak. He managed his internal submodalities. In the files of NLP history, we know that your brain stores memories and goals as pictures, sounds, and feelings. Jobs made his visions so bright, so large, and so close in his mind's eye, that they became more real than the obstacles in front of him. When you change the brightness of a mental image, you change the intensity of your emotion. You aren't stuck. You just have a dim internal display. This profound realization is the cornerstone of cognitive freedom. Most people believe they are victims of their emotions, yet NLP reveals that feelings are simply the output of a specific neurological setting. Think of your mind as a high-definition home theater system. When a painful memory feels overwhelming, it is often because your brain is projecting it as a massive, bright, and panoramic IMAX screen in your mind's eye. By intentionally adjusting the submodalities, the technical building blocks of your thoughts, you seize the remote control. When you dim that internal display, turning a vivid neon-colored fear into a grainy, faded black and white photograph, you physically alter your nervous system's response. The chemical surge of cortisol drops as the visual intensity fades. You aren't broken or stuck in a mood. You are simply operating with a display setting that is too high. Learning to lower the brightness and shrink the frame doesn't just change a thought. It reclaims your biological peace. Let's do this right now. Think of a goal you've been hesitant to chase. Notice the image of it in your mind. Is it small? Is it far away? Is it black and white? Now in your mind's eye, crank up the brightness. Make the colors vivid. Then make the image massive like a giant IMAX screen right in front of your face. Finally, add a soundtrack of success. What do you hear when you win? Feel that shift in your chest? That's your neurology rewriting itself. You just moved from a fixed map to a fluid reality. Chapter 2: The Invisible Bridge, Mastering Instant Rapport. Have you ever walked into a room and felt an instant, unexplained connection with someone? As if you had known them for years even though you just met? That isn't chemistry. It's rapport. And in the world of high-stakes influence, rapport isn't something you wait for. It's something you build surgically. Today I'm going to show you how world-class communicators like Barack Obama and Oprah Winfrey bypass the conscious mind to speak directly to the target's nervous system. Observe Barack Obama in a town hall meeting. When he speaks to a blue-collar worker, his posture shifts. His cadence slows down. When he speaks to a tech CEO, his energy sharpens. In NLP we call this mirroring and matching. Most people try to connect through words. But words only account for 7% of human communication. The other 93% is tonality and body language. When you subtly mirror the way someone sits, the speed at which they breathe, or the specific metaphors they use, their brain receives a powerful subconscious signal. This person is just like me. And we trust people who are like us. This biological imperative dates back to our ancestors, for whom recognizing one of the tribe was a matter of survival. By adopting the physical syntax of your counterpart, You are performing what NLP experts call pacing. You are not mimicking. You are calibrating your nervous system to theirs. This creates a neural resonance, a state where two minds begin to operate on the same frequency. When you match the rhythmic cadence of their breathing, you are essentially telling their amygdala to stand down. You are bypassing the critical filters of the conscious mind and entering the sanctuary of the subconscious. In this space, resistance dissolves. Once you have successfully paced them, you gain the psychological leverage to lead. If you shift your posture or slow your speech after establishing this bond, you'll notice they subconsciously follow you. You have moved from being a stranger to being a reflection, and in that reflection, they find the safety to be influenced, persuaded, and led toward a common goal. Oprah Winfrey is a master of pacing and leading. She doesn't just jump in with her own opinion. She first paces her guest by reflecting their emotional state. If a guest is grieving, she lowers her voice and leans in. She validates their map of the world first. Once you have paced someone long enough, you gain this psychological permission to lead them. You cannot change someone's mind until you have first walked a mile in their mental shoes. Give it a shot. Here is your mission for your next conversation, whether it's with a barista, a colleague, or a partner. First, observe their tempo. Are they speaking fast or slow? Match their speed exactly for 60 seconds. Now note the lean. If they lean back and cross their legs, wait 10 seconds and then do the same. Finally, apply the keyword echo. Listen for one specific word they use frequently, such as essentially, cool, impact. Just be attentive. Use that exact word back to them in your next sentence. Watch their eyes. You will see them relax. You have just built an invisible bridge. Chapter 3. The Anchor. Triggering peak performance on demand. Imagine having a remote control for your brain. Imagine that with a single touch or a specific word, you could instantly flush away anxiety and replace it with total, unshakable confidence. This isn't science fiction. It's a neurological mechanism called anchoring. In the world of PNL, an anchor is any representation, internal or external, that triggers a consistent psychological state. Think of it as a save button for your emotions. Every time you hear a specific song and feel a wave of nostalgia or smell a certain scent and feel a sense of home, you are experiencing a natural anchor. However, most people are victims of their anchors, reacting to random stimuli that trigger negative moods. The secret of the elite is that they don't wait for a feeling to happen. They create it on demand. The process of anchoring is rooted in classical conditioning, but with a sophisticated twist. It relies on the peak of an emotional experience. When you are at the absolute height of a feeling, be it the roar of a crowd or the quiet stillness of deep focus, and you apply a unique stimulus such as pressing your thumb and forefinger together, your neurology creates a permanent bridge between that physical sensation and that mental state. Athletes like Cristiano Ronaldo or tennis legends use these power anchors to enter the zone in seconds. They have mapped their nervous systems so precisely that the trigger acts as a neurological shortcut, bypassing the conscious struggle to try and be confident. By mastering anchoring, you stop being a passenger in your own mind and start becoming the operator. You move from a state of accidental emotion to one of intentional mastery, ensuring that your best self is always just one click away. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how the world's most elite athletes use physical triggers to enter the zone at will. Think of Cristiano Ronaldo. Before every free kick, he takes exactly 3 steps back, spreads his legs in a specific stance, and takes a deep, audible breath. To the casual observer, it's a ritual. To an NLP expert, it's an anchor. Ronaldo has conditioned his nervous system so that this specific physical sequence acts as a trigger. The moment his feet hit those spots and that breath leaves his lungs, his brain shuts out the 80,000 screaming fans and enters a state of 100% focus. He isn't hoping to feel confident, he is triggering it. As we explored in the foundational texts of Bandler and Grinder, our minds are constantly creating accidental anchors. That song that makes you sad. That's an anchor. The smell of old books that makes you feel nostalgic. An anchor. The difference between a victim and a master is that the master creates their own anchors intentionally. If you want the golden touch of success, you must link a specific physical stimulus to your highest emotional states. Let's build your first intentional anchor right now. Recall a memory. Close your eyes and remember a time when you felt absolutely powerful. A moment of total victory. Relive it. See what you saw, hear what you heard. Feel that surge of pride in your chest. The peak. As that feeling reaches its absolute maximum, its peak state, make a specific physical gesture. For example, press your thumb and middle finger together firmly. The release. Hold it for 5 seconds, then let go. Repeat this 5 times today. You are wiring that gesture to that emotion. Tomorrow, when you are nervous before a meeting, simply press those fingers together. Your neurology will do the rest. Now that you can control your state, how do you change your past? In Chapter 4, we dive into reframing, the technique Tony Robbins uses to turn trauma into fuel. Chapter 4, the architect of meaning, the art of reframing. It's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. You've heard that 1,000 times. But here is what they don't tell you. Your reaction is a choice made by your vocabulary. In the next few minutes, I will show you how to change the meaning of any event in your life. We are going to learn how to turn disasters into data and weaknesses into weapons. This is the core of the reframing technique. Watch Tony Robbins work with a crowd. Someone says, "I failed at my business." Tony immediately stops them. He doesn't just offer comfort, he forces a reframing. He might say, "You didn't fail. You just paid a tuition fee to the University of Experience. Now, what did that expensive lesson teach you?" In the NLP framework found in the works of Bandler and Grinder, we understand that human experience is like a picture. If you put a dark, heavy frame around it, the picture looks depressing. But if you put a golden, wide frame around that same picture, it becomes a masterpiece. The content didn't change, the frame did. Tony uses this to move people from a state of victim to a state of student in seconds. There are 2 types of reframing. 1. Content reframing. Most people are prisoners of the labels they give to their experiences. Content reframing is the art of changing the meaning of a situation without changing the situation itself. Think of it as a master key for your emotional reactions. If a teammate is stubborn, you feel frustrated. But if you reframe that stubbornness as unwavering conviction or high standards, your emotional response shifts from anger to curiosity. You aren't lying to yourself. You are simply choosing a map that allows for better navigation. In neurology, this process forces the brain to bypass the amygdala, the fear center, and engage the prefrontal cortex, the logic center. By asking, "What else could this mean?" or "What is the hidden gift in this obstacle?" you are literally rewiring your brain's associative pathways. You stop being a victim of what happens and start becoming the editor of your own narrative. Context reframing. Context reframing is based on the premise that every behavior, no matter how disruptive it seems, is useful in the right environment. Imagine a person who is obsessively detail-oriented. In a spontaneous social gathering, this might be seen as a flaw. They are too rigid. However, place that same person in the cockpit of a Boeing 747 or in a high-stakes surgical room, and that rigidness becomes their greatest asset. Context reframing is the ultimate tool for self-acceptance and leadership. Instead of trying to fix a trait, you ask, where would this behavior be an absolute superpower? By shifting the setting, you transform a perceived weakness into a specialized skill. This allows you to stop fighting against your nature and start positioning yourself in environments where your natural neurology is designed to win. It's not about changing who you are. It's about finding the right stage for your performance. Put it to the test. 1. Think of a situation that is currently stressing you out. 2. Write it down in one sentence. I am negative emotion because situation. 3. The instead challenge. Now find a different frame. Ask yourself, what else could this mean? 4. The relabel. Rewrite the sentence. If you were overwhelmed, are you actually in a period of massive growth? If you lost an opportunity, did you actually clear space for a better one? 5. Say the new sentence out loud. Notice how the weight in your shoulders changes. That is the power of the architect. By now you've mastered changing your inner world. But let's talk about time. Your brain actually maps out your past and future on a physical path. Coming up next, we're diving into the timeline, a powerful tool to clear old wounds and program your mind for what's ahead. Chapter 5. Timeline Mastery. Rewriting your past, designing your future. Close your eyes for a second and think about a memory from 5 years ago. Now think about something you plan to do tomorrow. Where are those images located? Are they in front of you? Behind you? To the left? In 1988, researchers James and Woodsmall discovered that humans don't just remember time, we spatialized it. We create a physical line in the air around us. If your line is messy, your life feels chaotic. Today we are going to organize your timeline to heal old wounds and pre-program your future success. According to the foundational NLP studies in your hands, there are 2 ways to live. The in-time person. For the in-time person, the past is behind them and the future is ahead, but the now is so vast it consumes everything else. Neurologically, the in-time individual has their timeline passing directly through their body. This makes them masters of the present moment, often manifesting as intense focus, deep empathy, and spontaneous creativity. However, because they are inside the stream of time, they often lose track of it. To an in-time person, 5 minutes can feel like an hour, or an entire afternoon can vanish in what feels like seconds. They don't just attend a meeting, they become the meeting. While this leads to a rich, sensory-filled life, it can also lead to chronic lateness or difficulty with long-term planning. Their challenge is not a lack of discipline, but a neurological immersion that makes the future feel like a distant, hazy land rather than a concrete destination. The through-time person. The through-time person views their life from the sidelines, seeing the past, present, and future laid out before them like a grand architectural blueprint. If you are through time, your entire timeline is located in your visual field, usually stretching from left to right in front of you. This spatial arrangement grants you a God's-eye view of your life. You are a natural planner, a master of logistics, and highly sensitive to deadlines because you can literally see the deadline approaching on your mental map. However, the trade-off for this executive efficiency is a sense of detachment. Because you are always looking at the whole map, it can be harder to fully inhabit the present moment. You might be at dinner with friends but mentally glancing at tomorrow's 9 a.m. milestone. For the through-time individual, life is a sequence to be managed, and their great work is learning how to step in time, to experience the joy of the results they so meticulously plan. Neither is better, but elite performers like Elon Musk or Bill Gates master the through-time view to plan decades in advance, while staying in time to enjoy the fruits of their labor. If you feel stuck in a past trauma, it's because that memory is sitting right in front of your face. We are going to move it. High achievers don't just hope for a good year. They place the goal on their timeline. When an athlete visualizes a win, they aren't just dreaming. They are placing a bright, vivid image in the future section of their mental map. By doing this, your subconscious mind treats the future event as a memory that hasn't happened yet. It begins to filter your environment to find the resources, people, and opportunities needed to make that image a reality. Let's find and fix your timeline right now. Locate your past. Point to where yesterday feels like it is. Behind you. To the left. Locate your future. Where is next year? In front of you. To the right. The past filter. Take a memory that still hurts. Imagine it as a photo. Now mentally push it further back into the past zone until it looks small and gray. The future magnet. Take your biggest goal. Make it a giant glowing 3D movie. Mentally float over your timeline and drop that movie into your future zone, exactly 6 months from now. Notice how your direction feels clearer. You are no longer drifting. You are following a map you designed. Now that your timeline is clear, you are ready for the next skill. How do you talk to anyone, even your enemies, and get them to say yes? In Chapter 6, we unlock the meta model, the linguistic secret of the world's greatest negotiators. Chapter 6. The meta model, cutting through the smoke. I can't do this. Everyone hates me. They're out to get me. We hear these phrases every day. Most people accept them as truth. But an elite communicator knows that these sentences are linguistic cages. Today I'm going to hand you the master key. It's called the meta model. Developed by Bandler and Grinder, it is the secret weapon used by the world's top negotiators and interrogators to dismantle excuses and reveal the deep structure of the human mind. Think of a world-class interviewer like Larry King or a high-stakes negotiator. They don't get distracted by vague words. In NLP, we know that when people speak, they perform 3 sins of language. They delete information, they distort reality, and they generalize their experiences. These aren't just speech habits. They are mental shortcuts that flatten the richness of the territory into a simplified, often dysfunctional map. First, deletion occurs when we selectively filter out portions of our experience. When someone says, "This project is a mess," they are deleting the specific parts that are working, the people involved, and the exact criteria for what mess means. Your job is to recover the lost data by asking, what specifically is messy about it? Second, distortion is the act of shifting our perception of reality, often assigning cause and effect where none exists. When they say, "He makes me angry," they are distorting the truth by giving away their power as if someone else controls their internal dashboard. To challenge this distortion, you must reconnect the speaker to their own agency. How specifically does his behavior lead you to choose anger? Finally, generalization takes a single data point and turns it into an absolute law. When someone says, "Nothing ever works out for me," they are using universal quantifiers to erase every success they've ever had. They have turned a temporary setback into a lifetime sentence. By asking, "Has there ever been a time when something did work out?" you break the spell of the generalization. By asking these specific metamodel questions, you force the other person to reconnect with the deep structure of their experience. You don't argue. You simply act as a detective for the truth, asking for the missing pieces until the vague fog of language clears, revealing the actionable reality beneath. Look at Steve Jobs again. When an engineer told him, "We can't make the screen thinner," Jobs wouldn't accept the generalization. He would use a metamodel challenge. What specifically is stopping us? Or what would happen if we did? By challenging the limit, he forced the brain to move from a state of stuck to a state of problem solving. You can use this same technique to stop your own self-doubt in its tracks. Let's practice the decaging of your own thoughts. Identify a limitation. Think of something you've said you can't do. For example, "I can't start a business." Challenge the generalization. Ask yourself, who specifically says I can't? Challenge the limit. Ask yourself, what would happen if I did anyway? Find the exception. Ask yourself, was there ever a time in the past when I did something similar successfully? Do you feel that? The cage of your sentence just dissolved. You have moved from a vague map to the actual territory. You now know how to deconstruct language. But what if you want to go deeper? What if you want to influence someone while they are sleeping with their eyes open. In Chapter 7, we explore the Milton model, the hypnotic language patterns used by the most charismatic leaders in history. Chapter 7, the art of soft influence, the Milton model. Have you ever listened to a great public speaker and felt yourself nodding along, agreeing with everything they said without even knowing why? You felt a sense of peace, a sense of yes. You weren't being brainwashed. You were being invited. Welcome to the Milton model. Named after the legendary hypnotherapist Milton Erickson, this is the linguistic skeleton key, used by the most charismatic leaders in history to move crowds, close deals, and inspire nations. In Chapter 6, we learn to be precise. But in leadership, sometimes precision is the enemy. If I say, "You should be happy because you just got a 5% raise," I might be wrong. Maybe you wanted 10%. By being specific, I've hit a mental wall of resistance because my map of the world doesn't match yours. But if I use a Milton pattern and say, "You can find many reasons to feel a growing sense of satisfaction today," your brain fills in the blanks. You decide what the reasons are. You decide what satisfaction looks like. This is the beauty of artfully vague language. While the meta-model, Chapter 6, was about zooming in to find the truth, the Milton model is about zooming out to create a space where the listener's subconscious can feel at home. In NLP, this is known as an inverse meta-model. Instead of challenging deletions and generalizations, you intentionally use them to bypass the critical logical mind. When you use words like resources, learnings, or possibilities, you aren't imposing your reality on others. You are inviting them to explore their own. You are providing the frame, but allowing them to paint the picture. This technique is what made Milton Erickson the most successful hypnotherapist in history. He understood that the subconscious mind is far more cooperative when it feels it has a choice. By using phrases like, "As you sit there beginning to wonder how quickly you can master these tools," you aren't telling someone to hurry up. You are presupposing that they will master them, while leaving the how and when to their own internal genius. You move from being a commander to being a guide, leading your listener down a path they feel they've chosen themselves. By being artfully vague, a leader like Martin Luther King Jr. or Steve Jobs allows every listener to see their own dream inside the speaker's words. You aren't pushing them. You are creating a vacuum that they choose to fill. The secret of the Milton model is pacing and leading. You start by stating 3 things that are undeniably true in the listener's current reality. Take note of these 3 core truths. As you sit here listening to my voice. First true. And you notice the rhythm of your breath. Second true. As you begin to wonder what you will learn next. Third true. By the time I get to the 4th statement, the lead, your critical filter has dropped. Your brain is in a yes set. When I finally say, "You will find it easy to master these techniques," your subconscious accepts it as just another fact. Try this in your next low-stakes conversation. Maybe you're convincing a friend to try a new restaurant or suggesting a project at work. State 3 obvious truths. We've been working hard today. The sun is starting to set. And we're both getting hungry. Attach the lead. So it would probably feel great to go grab some Italian food. Use an awareness verb. Instead of "I think," use "Have you noticed?" or "Are you aware?" When you pace someone's reality, they stop resisting you because you are no longer an outside force. You are simply a part of their own current experience. Chapter 8. Sleight of Mouth. The Jedi Mind Trick of Conversation. What do you do when someone says, "You're too young for this job," or "This product is too expensive"? Most people get defensive. But the masters of NLP use sleight of mouth. Developed by Robert Dilts, these are 14 linguistic patterns that can flip any objection on its head. It's not about winning an argument. It's about changing the size of the frame until the problem disappears. Today you'll learn how to become verbally bulletproof. Sleight of mouth is the jujitsu of communication. In physical combat, you don't meet force with force. You redirect the opponent's momentum. These patterns do exactly that with limiting beliefs. When someone says, "I can't do this because I don't have enough money," they are trapped in a tiny, suffocating frame. Most people try to argue against the fact of the money. A master of sleight of mouth, however, attacks the logic of the frame itself. You might use the pattern of redefinition, changing lack of money to a need for creative resourcefulness. Or perhaps you apply hierarchy of criteria, asking what is more important, the temporary cost or the permanent growth. These 14 patterns work because they target the neurological pathways where beliefs are stored. By shifting the focus, moving from the problem to the intention, or looking at the consequences of holding that belief, you don't just win a debate, you facilitate a breakthrough. You aren't just speaking, you are performing surgery on the listener's map of the world, removing the obstacles they didn't even know they had created. You don't need to memorize all 14 patterns today. To become verbally bulletproof, mastering just 3 will already make you more persuasive than 95% of the population. 1. Intention. Instead of attacking the objection, you look for the positive purpose behind it. If someone says, "I don't have time for this course," don't argue about their schedule. Instead say, "I appreciate how much you value your time and efficiency. That's exactly why this method is designed to save you years of trial and error." You have successfully redirected their own priority in your favor. 2. Redefine. This is where you swap a keyword for another that has a similar meaning but a more empowering connotation. If someone says, "This is too risky," you respond, "I understand that you want to be prudent, and that prudence is what allows us to analyze the data to ensure success." You've just transformed risk, a fear, into prudence, a virtue. 3. Change frame size. This is the ultimate zoom out. If someone complains about a minor setback, you expand the time frame or the context. If we look at this detail from the perspective of the next 5 years of your company's growth, is this truly an obstacle, or is it a necessary lesson to reach the top? By using these 3 patterns, you stop crashing against other people's mental walls. Instead, you act as an architect opening windows where there used to be only bricks. When a critic told Steve Jobs the first iPhone didn't have a physical keyboard and would fail, he didn't argue about the keyboard. He redefined the issue. He said, "It's not about the buttons, it's about the screen real estate." In NLP, this is redefinition. You take the person's word and swap it for a word that means something similar but has a positive direction. If someone says you are stubborn, you redefine it as deeply committed. If someone says you are inexperienced, you redefine it as fresh and unbiased. Think of a criticism you receive often. Identify the attack. For example, "You are too slow at making decisions." Apply change frame size. Ask yourself, what will this slowness look like in 10 years when I've avoided all the major mistakes others made by rushing? The response. Next time, answer with, "I agree that I take my time because I prioritize precision over speed to ensure long-term success." You aren't fighting their reality. You are expanding it until your flaw becomes a virtue. You now have the tools of a master communicator. But the puzzle continues. What if you could step inside the mind of a genius and copy their very thoughts? In Chapter 9, we reveal the holy grail of NLP, modeling. Chapter 9, The Quantum Leap, the Power of Modeling. What if you didn't have to spend 30 years making mistakes to become a master? What if you could download the mental blueprint of a billionaire, a world-class athlete, or a legendary communicator in a fraction of the time. NLP was born from a single radical question. What makes a genius a genius? Today you will mastering the most advanced skill in the human arsenal. Modeling. I am going to show you how to step into the mental skin of your heroes and replicate their results. When NLP founders Bandler and Grinder studied the best therapists and leaders of their time, they realized that excellence is not a gift. It's a sequence. It's a recipe. If you follow the same steps in the same order, you will get the same result. Think of Cristiano Ronaldo's discipline, Oprah's empathy, or Elon Musk's vision. They aren't just lucky. They have a specific way of believing. These are their internal convictions. Visualizing how they see the goal. Physiology, how they hold their body. If you only copy their actions, you are a fan. If you copy their internal strategy, you are a peer. To model someone, you must look beyond what they do and ask 3 questions. What is their belief system? What do they believe must be true about themselves and the world to succeed? What is their syntax? What is the order of their thoughts? Do they see a picture first, then talk to themselves, then feel an emotion? Or the other way around? What is their physiology? How do they breathe when they are winning? How do they stand when they are under pressure? By adopting these 3 pillars, you bypass your own limitations and borrow the neurology of a giant. Let's perform a rapid modeling session right now. Select your model. Choose one person you deeply admire for a specific skill, such as confidence, creativity, or calm. The avatar shift. Close your eyes and imagine this person standing in front of you. Observe their posture, their smile, and the energy they project. Step in. Mentally step into their body. Put on their skin like a suit. Breathe exactly how they breathe. Look through their eyes. The core question. While in their body, think of a challenge you are facing and ask, how do I feel about this problem now? Notice how the problem shrinks. You have just accessed a resource that was already inside you, triggered by the map of your hero. You now hold the keys to the kingdom. You have the anchors to control your state, the rapport to connect with anyone, the reframing to master your emotions, and the modeling to reach any height. Chapter 10. The Master Integration, the Blueprint in Action. You have traveled a transformative path. You've learned to read the invisible language of the body, to hack your own timeline, and to dismantle objections with surgical precision. But knowledge without action is just noise. Now we are going to weave every piece of the puzzle into a single exercise of applied mastery. The integrative ritual, the visionary's walk. Step 1. The Anchor, Chapter 3. Close your eyes. Recall a moment of absolute triumph. Feel that peak energy surging through your body. At the very height of that emotion, press your thumb and forefinger together. Feel that anchor firing off. Hold that state of unshakable confidence as we move forward. Step 2. Timeline Engineering, Chapter 5. Visualize your timeline. Look toward the future, 6 months from today, where you have already achieved your most ambitious goal. If you are a through-time person, see that success as a glowing milestone on your map. If you are in time, step into that moment and feel the air of that future on your skin. Step 3. Content Reframing, Chapter 4. An obstacle appears in your path. Don't avoid it. Use it. Apply a content reframe. That challenge isn't a wall. It's the exact training required to forge your character. Shift the meaning from problem to essential feedback. Step 4. The Metamodel Audit, Chapter 6. Listen to your internal dialogue. If a voice says, "This is hard," stop. Ask with precision, what specifically is hard about it? By recovering the deleted data, the fog of fear dissolves, leaving only a clear checklist of actionable tasks. Step 5. The Milton Whisper, Chapter 7. Now speak to yourself using the Milton model. Tell yourself, I can begin to notice how my mind is already uncovering unexpected resources to succeed. Let your subconscious fill in the blanks with creative solutions. Step 6. Sleight of Mouth, Chapter 8. If a final doubt lingers, a voice whispering, maybe I'm not ready, apply intention. Acknowledge that this voice is trying to protect you, but redefine that protection as a powerful drive to prepare with excellence. By completing this ritual, you have aligned your neurology, your language, and your time. You are no longer trying to change, you have already changed. Your map of the world has expanded so far that yesterday's limits are now invisible. Take it for a spin. Perform this visionary walk every morning for the next 7 days. Watch how the world begins to respond to your new internal blueprint. You are no longer a passenger in your own mind. You are the architect of your reality. Welcome to the top 5%.